My guidance counselor, Mr. Cullen, handed me the headphones with his insidious smile, claiming it was part of a focus exercise. I flinched as triggering chaos exploded in my ears. He nodded, watching me twitch. I bit my tongue, holding in the scream. I kept the recording. That moment shredded my trust, and it birthed Taylor's survivors, and the day I stopped hiding my Tourette. I used to think Mr. Cullen cared. In 9th grade, he sat with me after my first classroom episode, his insidious smile masked as empathy. Don't let them define you, he said. I believed him. He even let me keep the school's noise-canceling headphones. Back then, they felt like protection. I wore them like armor. That was before he learned how to weaponize them, before I ever dreamed of Taylor's survivors. During sophomore year, I organized a lunch group for neurodivergent students. Mr. Cullen offered his room, again with that insidious smile. Safe space, he said. At first it was. We shared stories, even laughed. I thought he was an ally. Then he played a new sound file through my headphones, a screeching static. I jolted, embarrassed. He apologized too quickly. I should have questioned him then, but Taylor's survivors hadn't been born, not yet. I started tracking every sound file Mr. Cullen loaded into the school's shared drive. My hands trembled as I copied one marked Focus 8v3. I recognized the screech. That was the file from my last breakdown. When I confronted him, he shrugged, that same insidious smile plastered on his face. Maybe you're overreacting again, he whispered. I stormed out. That night, I created the first group chat for Taylor's survivors. My rage burned through fear. I wasn't the only one he'd silenced. At the next IEP meeting, Ms. Bradford, the vice principal, claimed Mr. Cullen's techniques were research-backed. I stared, stunned. Had she listened to the files? He's helping students regulate stimuli, she insisted. My stomach twisted. A red herring, she believed his facade. I sent the latest file to Maddie from our group. Her reply, that's sonic abuse. We added 2 new members that week. Taylor's survivors was growing. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling I was screaming into a void only we could hear. I stood in front of the school board, clutching my folder of evidence. The headphones dangled around my neck, the same pair Mr. Cullen weaponized. I connected them to the projector. Play file V3, I said, voice flat. The speakers hissed, then unleashed the piercing screech. A collective wince filled the room. I scanned their faces, then locked eyes with him. His insidious smile faltered. This is what he called therapy, I said. This is what triggered my episodes. The silence was heavy. One board member whispered, this is torture. I slid the attendance logs, screenshots, chat transcripts across the table. He used our trust as a tool to break us. My heart raced. This was the chaos I refused to run from. Mr. Cullen stepped forward, calm as ever. These files were altered, he said smoothly, holding up a flash drive. I can prove it. His insidious smile returned, slicker than ever. The board hesitated. Ms. Bradford nodded, murmuring, let's review both versions. My chest collapsed. They were entertaining him. My evidence, real, raw, lived, suddenly felt disposable. Maddie squeezed my hand from the bench, whispering, we believe you. But that wasn't enough. The chaos I'd revealed was being repackaged as confusion. The headphones around my neck suddenly felt like a noose. I had marched in seeking justice. Now I stood accused of fabrication. The weight of every Taylor survivor pressed behind my ribs. We needed more than truth. We needed strategy. That night, I uploaded the raw audio to Taylor survivor's private server. Within hours, replies poured in, the same sound at my school. He used that file on me too. It wasn't just us, it was systemic. Maddie suggested compiling all testimonies into a single video. Triggering chaos isn't just yours anymore, she said. For the first time, my headphones didn't feel like shame. They were evidence. We were louder together. Mr. Cullen had no idea what we'd started. We posted the video anonymously. It gained traction fast. Within 24 hours, it hit 10,000 views, then it vanished. YouTube flagged it for graphic content. I appealed, heart pounding. Mr. Cullen filed a takedown, claiming defamation. His insidious smile showed up on a news clip that night, calling the video a dangerous misrepresentation. My inbox filled with threats. Some called us liars. Others said we were brave, but the silence from the school. That was loudest of all. Taylor survivors didn't back down. We organized a live stream, real stories, no edits. I went first. I'm not broken. I'm triggered. My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. Dozens followed. Each story chipped away at Mr. Cullen's insidious smile. Then someone commented, he worked at my brother's school. Same tactics. The thread exploded. We weren't isolated incidents, we were a pattern. Suddenly, our chaos had structure. It wasn't just rebellion anymore. It was documentation. 2 days later, a glossy email hit every student inbox. Therapeutic Sound Initiative, a statement from Mr. Cullen. He claimed we misunderstood his methods, accused us of inciting panic. Attached was a slick PDF filled with staged testimonials, none of the names from our group. His insidious smile was now corporate. For a moment, doubt crept in. Had he outmaneuvered us again? But then I saw it. One quote was plagiarized word for word from Maddie's livestream comment. We fact-checked every testimonial in his PDF. One student, Ava, messaged back, I never said that. She joined our next call, voice shaking. He told me if I didn't write something nice, I'd lose my IOP accommodations. My fists clenched, manipulation, coercion, and now silencing. We compiled every falsified quote into a new dossier. This wasn't just triggering chaos, this was premeditated harm, and now we had a whistleblower. Ava shared her emails. One subject line, please keep this between us. Mr. Cullen's insidious smile practically dripped from the text, praising her cooperation, urging discretion. We published the emails on our website with redacted names. That night, the page got 50,000 hits. Former students poured into our DM. One line stood out. He did this in Oregon too. The circle widened. It was no longer one school. The Taylor survivors weren't just survivors, we were witnesses. We launched #triggered, not broken across platforms. Within hours, Nurad, Divergent creators stitched our stories. This isn't therapeutic. This is engineered chaos, one said. Celebrities started resharing. A journalist from Canada messaged. He was at our district in 2016, same file names. It clicked, he'd moved from school to school, leaving no paper trail. Maddie cried on call. They let him restart every time. Our chaos was no longer isolated, it was institutional negligence. Mr. Cullen finally cracked. At a closed door panel, he accused me of orchestrating the campaign for attention. He called Taylor survivors a cult. I stared as he delivered each word with that same insidious smile. But someone else stood up, Ava. Her voice didn't shake this time. You manipulated minors, she said, her file clutched in her hand. You targeted our trauma. The room went quiet. That was the moment the tide turned, not with a roar, but with testimony. The district launched an internal audit, a surprise to him, but not to us. We'd already uploaded a mirrored archive of his deleted files. Maddie Cross referenced timestamps with our documented breakdowns. Patterns emerged, exact minutes. He timed them, she whispered. The data was indisputable. One investigator muttered, this isn't a breach. It's systemic abuse. The headphones, once triggers, had become timestamps. Our trauma became proof. Finally, someone outside our group believed the noise. The board summoned him for an emergency hearing. He arrived, smug and prepared, but the surprise witness wasn't listed. It was Mr. Ender, a former colleague. He bragged about exploiting neurokids, he testified, shaking, said he could make any of them twitch on command. Mr. Collins' insidious smile crumbled for the first time. The hearing room buzzed with outrage. The board chair leaned forward. Effective immediately. You're suspended pending investigation. He opened his mouth and no one listened. Taylor's survivors wasn't just a chatroom anymore. We filed for non-profit status. Maddie drafted our mission statement, from silence to heard. Donations poured in. Parents reached out, asking how to protect their kids. We built a speaker panel, hosted webinars. Schools began requesting training. I looked at the old headphones, now sealed in a display box. Triggering chaos had become a curriculum. The symbol of our collapse was now the foundation of change. A week later, the school received a letter from the state board. Mr. Collins' license was under review. I printed it, taped it beside our first group photo. There we were, faces that once flinched in hallways, now fierce, visible. He had tried to fracture us one by one, but his insidious smile couldn't survive the spotlight. We weren't broken. We were documented, connected, and loud. Every echo of our past was now broadcast forward by us. On the day his license was revoked, the district tried to bury the news. But our newsletter sent it viral. Colin banned from all state schools, the headline read. We included every survivor's initials, our silent roll call. The headphones appeared in the banner image, no longer instruments of pain, but artifacts of truth. That night, I held a webinar titled, From Triggering Chaos to Collective Power. Over 600 attendees. We were no longer his secret. We held our first in-person Taylor Survivors Summit in Austin. I opened with the same phrase I once whispered through tears, this ends with us. Maddie hugged me tight. Ava brought cupcakes shaped like tiny headphones, black with gold streaks. We laughed, real, loud, unashamed laughter, the kind he never allowed us. A reporter asked, what would you say to him now? I paused. Thank you, I said, because he taught us exactly what we'll never become. I walked into my old counselor's office, now empty. Same desk, same chair, but this time I wasn't shaking. I placed the headphones on the table, not as a victim, but as a witness. They once symbolized control, manipulation, collapse. Now, they represent resistance, recovery, and a community that refused to stay silent. Founding Taylor survivors didn't just save me, it rebuilt me. I touched the earmuffs gently. You don't own my story, I whispered. The chaos he triggered wasn't mine to carry anymore. I had passed it on, reshaped it into curriculum, community, and clarity. The symbol he used to break us became our call to rise. Every time a student emails me, saying, I thought I was the only one, I remember how it felt to sit alone in that room, headphones hissing lies into my skull. Now, I teach workshops on advocacy and consent in school therapy. We roleplay how to say no, how to report manipulation. I hold up the headphones at the end of each session. This isn't your enemy, I say. Silence is. Taylor Survivors isn't a support group. It's a blueprint. We turned trauma into tools. I no longer fear my Tourette. I teach from it, the chaos he triggered. That's the energy we now use to build, to teach, to protect. I opened my first classroom last fall, not as a guest, but as the teacher. On the front shelf, beside lesson plans and sensory kits, sat the headphones. Ask me about these, the sign read. Students did. We talked about noise, about fear, about reclaiming space. My tics weren't hidden, they were part of the rhythm. I wore a badge that read Nurad, I've, urgent and proud. Taylor Survivors hosted monthly sessions in the library. Some kids whispered, I didn't know teachers could be like this. I smiled, not insidiously, but openly. The chaos they once used to crush us, we've tuned it, amplified it, and turned it into curriculum, into power.